Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the lawyer couple that's been infamous for standing on their front lawn with guns pointed at a mob of protesters, have been charged with one felony count each for their actions. But that's just the tip of this iceberg, and the story might not be what it seems. Farron, what a peculiar story. Okay, first of all, this looks like a really bad movie, doesn't it? you look at this picture, you go, this is a really bad movie. Then the second thing you understand, if you talk to lawyers in that area, they're going to tell you this prosecutor has really kind of light. Her experience is kind of light. She's coming in to make a name for herself. But why would you pick this case? I mean, this issue with the firing pin, that's a big deal.
Right. What we know right now is that when the officers went in and served the search warrant, they found the gun that she used. The firing pin was in the wrong position, which means the gun was incapable of firing. However, this is also worth pointing out, it was 12 days. There were 12 days in between this incident right here and when the police officers came and found the gun. So the crime lab, the assistant prosecutor, goes into the crime lab and says, can you reconstruct this gun and make it to where it can fire? And they were able to do that, at which point he's able to say, okay, this was readily capable of firing. But the reason I point out the 12 days is because you can't tell from any of the pictures of the footage, was the firing pin misplaced then? Was it changed later? So that is an X factor that we don't know about.
Either way you cut it, Farron, okay? A department tampering with evidence. This is evidence tampering. There's no question about it. This is no different from a bag of sugar and somebody saying, hey, this is sugar, let's put some cocaine in it. You can't do that. This prosecutor knows that. The crime lab knows that. This is such a fundamental flaw. And so all of a sudden, now they're able to argue that the tampering is a deal killer. Here's what this prosecutor's counting on. She's going to try this case in a heavily African-American community, and she's thinking, well, they're just going to find against these folks. And then the governor said he's going to, forgive. The president said he's going to forgive, basically. I don't know where she goes with this. Tell me about... The truth is, there's a defense that exists in most states, and I took a look. It does exist there. It's called the Castle Doctrine, and that is you have a right to defend your property if you could reasonably argue that you were fearful for your life or your property. So they had a right to do that. This prosecutor knows that. What is her name? Kim Gardner. Yeah. I mean, nobody knows who this woman is right now.
Well, she's
counting on maybe they will.
Right. The only argument in terms of Castle Doctrine that she would be able to present, and this is obviously the argument she would make, is was their home, was their property, were their particular lives actually in danger? As it stands right now, there was no necessarily evidence that these people were coming for them. We know they were headed into that community, and yeah, they broke the gate. We know they broke the gate.
An iron gate.
They were going to the mayor's house to protest outside of the mayor's house. So that's the argument, basically, from the prosecutor, is that they weren't coming for these people. And look, I'll 100% say I hate the actions that the McCloskeys took.
Yeah,
why not
put out water? Why not put out water for the protesters? Why not have a lemonade stand, something?
For the most part, you could have sat in there, closed your doors, and just said, "There's people walking by."
Or you could have said, "Look, here's some ice water for you." You could have done something that was decent. This doesn't help.
Right.
But this prosecutor,
this
is all about her.
Yeah.
So nobody knows who she is. I don't really know whether, but there's some part of the story says George Soros helped her get elected. I think your theory is George Soros.
That's always the boogeyman.
Wasn't there some point where at one point they said George Soros was trying to fund Ring of Fire?
Oh yeah, we get those claims every couple of months here.
Okay.